So do you feel like a left tackle yet?
I'm getting there. You finally play a game, and it starts to become more reality. Practice is practice. So I'm getting there. I think every day I get a little more comfortable. I feel more comfortable in my stance and my position in the huddle, things like that. So it's getting there.
You've probably broken down that tape several times. How do you think you did the other night?
I did okay. I was getting back there. I felt a little bit not uncomfortable, just a fish out of water in the sense where it's like I'm actually doing this in a game against a good pass rusher. I only played 8 plays, so it was kind of hard to get in a great rhythm. But things to work on. My hands were a little wide. I was a little bit. I'm used to going against Miles in practice, who's like flying up the field, so I'm used to getting back, and I was getting a little too far back with Olivier. He was more of a power guy, so there's just little things to work on. But there was good stuff to come, and I felt like that last drive when we scored the touchdown, I was starting to get a little comfortable and kind of wanted to play another drive or two, but it's preseason. We got a lot of games to play.
Joel, I can't remember if it was when he was with the Bengals or not, but they did this with Andrew Whitworth, left guard, the left tackle, and it worked out. Have you either talked to somebody like that or studied somebody like that or hit up Hugh about that kind of trick? Because it does happen where it's a big hit.
That's one of the only ones I've ever heard of. Most guys that play guard in the NFL don't move out to tackle. It's usually the other way around. So I haven't really mentioned with anybody, about that. I've talked to tackles that have played tackle for a long time, but haven't really gone the other way with the guard to tackle.
Jonathan Ogden did it.
Jonathan Ogden did it?
They just stashed him somewhere for the first year.
Oh.
Right guard his first year.
That guy's also like 6'9", like 360, but he's those are two of the best guys that have played the game in a long time. So
Good company.
yeah, so maybe it's the move is working.
Joe, I know you're only out for 8 plays the other night, but the run offense kind of struggled. What do you think?
Yeah, we weren't great in the run game. I think we've been hammering it in walkthrough and practice this week. I think our double teams weren't super crisp. We had some misidentifications, with some calls out there, and we just weren't very successful. And it was one of those things. It was first game. We're trying to get in a rhythm, and I think we're going to be better this week. We've really emphasized it, and unfortunately, like you said, the first team only got 2 runs. I think in there we had a couple little plays. They brought a safety off the edge that kind of stuffed us, and it wasn't a great running game for us. And we want to take pride in our double teams and our physicality, and that's something we've been working on the last couple of days.
On the whole, you said that you and Austin have had pretty good chemistry on the double teams. How much of that is you guys went to the same school?
Maybe a little bit. We practiced together for maybe a semester when I was there. He was redshirting, so he'd always give me a look on defense and things like that. But he's a good player, and I think when a couple good players get together, you can have some good double teams and stuff. And we get along, and we've worked at it and things like that. And it's been good. It's been fun to play next to him because he kind of understands what I'm thinking because he's played tackle before. We both kind of played both positions, and it's been good, though.
Now that you've had extended time against Garrett in practice, is that at all getting easier or is it getting harder for you?
A little bit of both. Some things I'm like, okay, I think I have this part figured out, and then he'll do something that I haven't seen before, and I'm like, wow, that's a tough move. Hopefully he doesn't do that one again. So it's been good, man, and it's hard because it makes practice hard, but it also is going to help in the games when we get out there to some live action.
Can you imagine anyone better than him? I mean, he's only doing it on the practice field, I understand. But.
Right. I mean, there's some good rushers in this league. There's guys that have gotten 15, 20 sacks a year. So there's good players out there, and I think Miles is going to be one of those guys. And he needs to prove it on the field and stay healthy and do things like that. But he's definitely one of the best, and it's been fun to battle him.
What does Austin need to, I guess, learn or do better in that transition from him playing tackle to moving inside where you were all those years?
Yeah, he's done a good job, but he's a little aggressive still. I think he thinks like guard, we got to be super, super physical. And there's a finesse to it still, and he gets his head involved a little bit sometimes. Just little things like that where it's a nuance of the game. He's been playing tackles his whole life, in high school, college. And so coming in, there's just little nuances where, cover the guy up a little more, use your hands a little bit differently. It happens a lot quicker on the inside, and he's used to setting off and, playing 3 or 4 yards off the ball where it's like, wow, I'm making contact with this guy right away.
I know you don't listen to the noise out here that we generate, but can you at all feel for Tyrod Taylor? I mean, he throws a perfect game in 2 series, and yet all the national conversation is about Baker Mayfield. What are your observations about the way he's able to handle that sort of thing?
I think he's been in it before. I think in Buffalo he had some issues last year where he got benched and he led the team to the playoffs. That's a tough situation to be in, and he's he's been a guy. He's been around the league. He's going in, I think, year 7 or 8, and he's worked for everything he's got. So I think he understands, like, hey, eventually Baker Mayfield is going to be the guy that leads this team. But right now, this is my team, and he's earned it. He works hard. He's a great leader. He's a good quarterback, and he understands, like, hey, I'm going out there, and I'm leading this team right now, and I don't think he lets the noise affect him.
Do you think it's helping him play better to rise above that?
I'm not really sure. That's a tough question. I don't know how his mind works. I don't know if he's looking at tweets all night, like, screw these guys, or what, or if he's just going out there and playing. Right. I mean, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's ESPN. It's NFL Network. It's you guys. I mean, it happens. Baker's the number 1 pick. So you're gonna hear some of those things. But like I said, Terod's been in this situation, and he's working, man. And the way he comes to practice, it seems like he doesn't hear any of it.
Joel, we've seen, over the years that you've been in the league, this first team offense has struggled to score touchdowns in preseason games, and you guys kind of made it look easy on Thursday night. Did that feel good to kind of get the offense going in a preseason game like that?
Yeah, it's awesome. Like you said, you only get 1 or 2 series in the first couple games, and so to get a touchdown makes things a lot better. I remember last year we were kind of dinking and dug. I got a little banged up in preseason, so I didn't play as much, but I know the offense was taking a while to get going. You're like, are we ever going to get going? You kind of get that question. Now it's like, we can do this. We scored in 4 plays. You know what I mean? And we want to keep improving on that and keep getting better, but it's a good start for us.
While you guys are figuring yourselves out with the guys on the line right now, have you been able to notice that Taylor is a pretty good improviser and kind of stepping into whatever trouble spot he might need to go to?
Yeah, I think that's something both of our quarterbacks that are kind of battling right now do a good job of. They have great pocket presence, and anytime you have a mobile quarterback that can kind of move around and keep his eyes downfield, it helps you out a bunch, because if he can step to the right, move up in the pocket if you're getting beat or someone's coming off pressure and he can make a play happen, I mean, that's huge. I mean, the first play of the game, we had an unblocked safety off the edge. It was just an empty protection, and he ended up taking a hit on it, but he knew where his hot was to get the ball to Jarvis, and he made a great play. Just things like that, knowing where to move and how to make things happen has been awesome to have. And as an offensive lineman, if you have a mobile quarterback that can move like that, it helps you out a bunch, because you're going to have some mistakes, and if he can fix those mistakes for you, it helps.
How much are you thinking about getting to the regular season and it going from 8 snaps against the Giants to 65 or whatever it is against Pittsburgh, and how you're able to? I mean, I imagine it would feel a lot different than even the practice reps to.
Yeah, full game. I mean, and that's kind of we work our way up. I know this next game we'll probably play a little bit more, and then third preseason game you usually get a half or a little bit more than that. So you kind of work your way up to it, but there's really nothing like playing those first games and getting into a season. I always tell people, like, football's tough, but I'm only usually like pretty beat up after the first 3 or 4 games. Your body's getting used to getting hit 70 times a game, and then you kind of get in a rhythm, and then at the end of the year beat up too. But it's a different animal, and it'll be interesting for me to get in a rhythm of a few games of, hey, I've played 70 snaps left tackle now. I'm kind of getting in a rhythm.
I mean, even just from a perspective of, whoever, Miles or Von Miller or whoever it is, coming at you time after time after time, as opposed to limited. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. It's a huge step, and that's something that we're working on, and it's going to be a big moment when we get one of those guys that you got to block, 1-on-1 50 times a game.
Was the no huddle put in during the game or the night before? Did you know?
So at first we thought we were playing 2 series, and then the night before the game, Todd was just like, "Hey, we're gonna go no huddle for the second series," and we just went and Tyrod called his plays, I think, and went and made some things happen.
You mentioned how the
Just a couple more.
quarterback improvisation can help you guys because they can fix some of your mistakes. But what about the flip side? Is it tricky to have to block longer or have the quarterback end up in a different spot than you expected?
Yeah, as an O-lineman, you always have that little clock in your head that you're not supposed to have. You're like, oh, I think I blocked this guy long enough, and when you have when you have a quarterback that can move around, sometimes they extend the play a little more than you can. So there's a love-hate, but I think more of it's love because these guys make big plays happen usually when they improvise. You see an Aaron Rodgers that maybe not the most athletic guy, but he'll roll out, make a play, and throw for 60 yards. So anytime you can have something like that happen, it's a big bonus.
You mentioned seeing the difference just between practice and the first game, between 2 different pass rushers and different styles. Is that one of the biggest adjustments you have to make on tackling? Is knowing your personnel week in, week out?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm used to going against, first game I don't have a book, but I played Cam Hayward a bunch of times, so I kind of understand, what this guy's going to do to me, and now I got to look out and be like, all right, they got TJ out there, they got other guys rushing the edge. What are they going to do? And until you really play them, you know, you don't understand truly their strengths or their weaknesses or how strong they really are, how quick they are. So you got to get out there and kind of understand what's going on.
You might get a break in that first game, going up against Haywood. Finally. Huh?
Yeah, he's a good player. It'll be interesting to see.
Do you feel like when you get your hands on guys, even at tackle, that you're strong enough to eat them up?
It depends. You know, I feel like I have pretty good strength, and I think it hurts me sometimes because sometimes I'm like, run into me, I want to grab you. You know what I mean? And so I see it, you know, a little bit, but it's one of the things I try and work on is like once I get a guy locked up, don't let him go. You know, it's just a thing. Hold him.
Did you get a chance to talk to Joe at all?
No, we haven't talked too much. He was here and he's enjoying his life, man. He's like not doing something in August for the first time ever. You know what I mean? It's probably been 25 years of him doing something in August. So he's enjoying time with his family. His wife's going to have another baby, and he's enjoying that. But once we get into the season, I'm going to definitely be hitting him up for what do these pass rushers do? What's your, you know, little black book on these guys?